It is the 5th of the 3rd month of 1442, and I continue my comment from the 25th of the 5th month, 1434. Well, I mean, this is when I finally completed this paper. Harold Klemp's Youth Ask a Modern Prophet About Life, Love, and God. And this is called Service to Life. Now, remember that Eckankar, Harold Klemp was trained in Christianity, so a lot of the side comments, so I think, you know, I don't need to mention as many biblical verses when I go over that as I might otherwise. The path to God is described in Al-Quran, Surah 3, Ayat 31, as loving God and then following the most current messenger prophet. In Eckankar, it is love, starting with the Mahanta, the living Eckmaster. The next verse calls to obey God and then the messenger, and God doesn't love when people do otherwise. The Eckankar approach is much in the same spirit, but they don't say God doesn't love even bad actions or thoughts, as far as I know. Both and other paths agree that altruism is a service to happiness. Feelings of loneliness can be fixed through service to God and service to creation. Service to God is done through worship, particularly in ritual forms. In Eckankar, those are called spiritual exercises. And if you remember my Eckankar Tarot series stuff, spiritual exercises are, you know, one of the sins. Those called Eckmasters are said to work for humanity in ways we aren't even aware of. Life experience is needed for all to serve their life term in this body, even if they're never an Eckmaster. Sometimes the most important message to convey isn't to be preached publicly, even where one is free to practice it. That is what Harold Klemp says about the Islamic majorities that have most of the members of Eckankar outside of the United States of America. I never understood that one. I'm not sure about the implied persecution of the cult in China. Malatia is said to have been an Eckmaster in Polara, is that mythical Antarctica, who openly taught agriculture. Some who have gone through initiations in Eckankar have stayed or became priests or officials of standard non-Eckankar religious communities. Even secretly, they could still do things in the name of the Mahanta of the time. Doing everything in the name of the Mahanta, the living Eckmaster, is axed upon even the youth. In Matthew 7, 22 and 23, verses 22 and 23, the Bible has Jesus condemning any action in his name and those who do them in his name. The Orthodox prophets did likewise, but not so for the head of Eckankar. Either way, we must determine if what we do is the right thing to do. In Eckankar, one is called a co-worker with God, as far as one submits to the divine will. In a way, this says that Al-Quran, Surah 3, Ayat 19, is correct in saying the only system of judgment acceptable to God is Islam, our surrender. Sometimes our service isn't up to our own standards. Don't despair. Eckankar teaches people will sometimes work for each other in dreams without knowing each other at all. God should be credited with healings and works stemming from inner visions. The answers to be given to non-members of Eckankar are to ignore aspects of differences between other spiritual paths, unless they are more than passively interested. Talking about the alleged divine powers and worship of the Mahanta, the living Eckmaster, is to be delayed as much as possible. We must be willing to strive for leadership, but we must earn our place through more than time spent. And so life is known through example. Life relates to what's after life. And really, in this life, we should do what we can with our spiritual path. We see through the graphics certain steps that one could go through represented. Regardless of what you say about that cosmologically, pedagogically, it is definitely something. Now, we want to return. Do we know what we're lacking in life, what we want to return to? Perhaps we do, perhaps we don't. But we can work out our experience. Humans are a rather empty thing, and we want to fill that somehow. That's theist or atheist. We know we have different aspects or levels of consciousness that we got to deal with. Some of us know better than others. Some of the ways are ancient. How ancient are they? We have an individual path. But it's all to be functional in life. And it's all to connect to love. And it's all to bring about a sort of light. This is where, at the very least, I can get along with the Eckankar concept of things.